I thought that after the lake incident, everything would change for the better. For the first time in my life, I felt seen. Teachers, friends, even my parents treated me differently. Daniel, too, seemed quieter, more reflective. But sometimes, late at night, when I lay awake thinking about what had happened, I noticed something strange in his eyes, a distant shadow I couldn't explain. At first, I tried to dismiss it. Maybe he was just shaken from the near-death experience, I thought. But then the nightmare started. Daniel began waking up in the middle of the night, screaming, drenched in sweat. He would shout things I didn't understand, names, numbers, a voice calling him into the lake. I tried talking to him, asking if he was scared, if he needed help, but he would just shake his head, tears in his eyes, and tell me to sleep. One night, it was worse than ever. I was lying in bed when I heard Daniel's voice from across the hall. "Alex, he's here again," he whispered. My blood ran cold. "Who's here?" I asked. "I don't know," he said, his voice trembling. "I keep hearing the water. I can't stop hearing it calling me." I sat up, heart racing. The lake, the water, could it be? Something had followed him back. I didn't sleep that night. I stayed in the living room, pretending to read, listening for any unusual sound. Around 2:14 a.m., the same time as the lake incident, I heard it, a faint splash, like someone stepping in shallow water. I ran to Daniel's room. He was sitting up in bed, staring at the wall, pale. "I can't shake it, Alex. I can't," he said, voice cracking. I hugged him. I wanted to tell him it would be okay. I wanted to tell myself it would be okay. But deep down, I felt the same unease. Something wasn't right. Over the next week, I tried to piece together the strange occurrences. Daniel's nightmares were relentless. He would talk about shadows in the water, whispers that promised him power if he returned, and visions of people who had drowned long ago. I started researching the lake, hoping for a rational explanation. Old newspapers, town records, even obscure blogs about local legends. What I found chilled me. The lake had a dark history. Decades ago, a series of drownings had been recorded. People claimed the water took them for reasons no one could explain. Some townsfolk whispered about an entity that resided in the lake, something that lured people into the depths, offering a deal no one could refuse. And then it hit me. Daniel had survived, yes, but had he truly escaped? Or had the lake marked him in some way? That night, I couldn't sleep. I stayed by his door, listening. Around 2:14 a.m., I heard the faintest splash outside the window, the same sound he described in his nightmares. My hands shook as I reached for my phone. Then Daniel's bedroom door creaked open. He was standing there, eyes black at the edges, distant. His voice wasn't his own. "Alex, come to me," he whispered. I froze. My mind raced. This was not Daniel. Not entirely. Something was inside him, whispering, pulling. I grabbed his arm gently. "Daniel, it's me. You're safe. You don't have to go anywhere." For a moment, he looked at me, the brother I had known. Then the shadows in his eyes flickered and disappeared, leaving a frightened boy behind. "Alex, I heard it," he said softly. "It wants me back. I think it'll come for you next." The following day, I knew what I had to do. We went back to the lake, but not to swim. We researched, planning, preparing. If the lake had marked him, maybe confronting it could break the hold. We brought ropes, lanterns, and a journal of every strange occurrence, every legend we had uncovered. When we arrived, the water looked peaceful. The sun reflected off the surface, birds chirping as if nothing had ever happened. But I knew better. We tied ourselves together, one rope around each wrist, and stepped onto the dock. The lake seemed to shimmer unnaturally. The water darkened at the edges, almost black, and a cold wind blew across our faces, carrying a faint whisper. "Come back, come back." Daniel shivered. "It's calling me again." I grabbed his hand. "Not this time," Not ever. I won't let it take you. We spent hours at the lake, performing rituals we had read about, speaking the names of those who had disappeared, acknowledging the entity, offering it peace. It was terrifying. The water began to ripple on its own. Shadows twisted beneath the surface. I thought I saw faces staring at us, mouths opening and closing without sound. And then, silence. The lake seemed to exhale. The shadows disappeared. Daniel looked at me, tears streaming down his face. I feel lighter, he whispered. I knew it wasn't over entirely. The lake's darkness had touched him, and maybe it always would. But for now, he was free. In the weeks that followed, Daniel and I grew closer than ever. We laughed more, talked more, and finally treated each other as equals. I no longer felt like I was living in someone else's shadow. I had proven my worth, not through accolades, trophies, or praise, but through courage, determination, and love. And Daniel, he finally admitted it. You saved me, Alex. Not just from the lake, but from myself. From arrogance, from carelessness. You saved me in ways I'll never be able to repay. Smiled. You don't have to. Just don't ever forget that we're in this together, always. Sometimes, late at night, when the wind blows across the lake, I still hear faint whispers carried on the breeze, a reminder of what happened. But it no longer frightens me, because that night I learned something I never realized before. Shadows don't define you. They only exist until you choose to step into the light. And I finally did.